Welcome to video number 1 of the 90-day stage closer. This is how to find speaking engagements part 1. So there are essentially two ways to have a speaking engagement. One where you create your own event, where you're essentially responsible for filling the event, and one where you speak on someone else's stage or at someone else's group. And in this video, we're going to focus on how you get onto other stages and get other organizers to have you in front of their groups. So there are three components to getting booked on someone else's stage. The first one is to simply get on their radar, and we'll talk in just a moment about the best ways to research and find organizers of groups and promoters and how to get on their radar or be seen or have them know of you, because of course if they don't know you exist, then they can't even consider having you speak in front of their group. The second is to have them take you seriously once you reach out. And in this step, we're going to really look at what are the things you need to be saying, how do you position yourself, and how do you communicate with them so that they know that you're professional and real and actually separate you from all of the other, let's say, amateur speakers or clowns out there that are trying to get speaking engagements that really don't belong on stages. The third step is going to be identifying the right strategy for their group so that not only do they take you seriously, but then they actually say yes. So let's dive in. The first step is getting on their radar. So let's look at how to research for organizers and groups. You know, a lot of people think that there are not that many speaking engagements or speaking engagements are hard to come by. But actually, there are thousands of opportunities, and there's something happening every single day in your city. Now, assuming you live around a big city, you are in the mecca for great opportunities. And in every city across the entire world that I've ever been in, there are hundreds, if not thousands of groups meeting in that city every single day. Being a speaker in front of any one of those groups is more than feasible. And as you start to go through the exercises and do the things we ask you to do in the how to find speaking engagements section of this program, you are quickly going to unearth tons of opportunities for yourselves. And that may seem a little odd right now, or if you haven't been speaking a lot, that may seem like, there's no way, but it sounds good. And of course, if you have been speaking a lot, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm going to be sharing techniques with you, not only how to find the organizers, but also how to leverage speaking in front of each group to keep multiplying your opportunities every single time you speak. So it's really about being involved in a community and starting to identify your value angle. So let's look at how to start to identify the communities that you can be involved in, and then we'll look at identifying your value angle. So one of the best places to get started, and this is becoming more and more popular, about 10 years ago-ish when I started presenting and speaking around the Bay Area in San Francisco, I really liberally used this site called meetup.com. It's meetup.com. And it is probably no longer a best-kept secret. However, how to really navigate the site is a little bit of a best-kept secret. And I'll say that when I talk to speakers, although they know about it, very few ever use it or use it effectively. Now, when I got started, I started looking on Meetup for groups that were organized in the area because, hey, it was there, it was a great resource, and I just wanted to find the fastest place to where people were meeting so I could go speak. If you jump on meetup.com, and I advise you to do that actually right now while we're talking about it, you'll quickly see that it has a great search engine to find any topical group anywhere in essentially any city, almost anywhere in the world. It's spread out all over the globe these days. Now, you can quickly find the topic or an appropriate target market or appropriate group of people to speak to that would fit inside your target market. And then once you click on that group and go to that page, you can quickly find the organizer, and there is a contact button right underneath the organizers. Well, this is giving you direct access to the organizers. And in the second section, how to get them to take you seriously, I'll talk about how to approach them. So meetup.com is a great place to get started. The second would be simply a Google search or some sort of search engine where you search topically what you're looking for. Looking for entrepreneurs, looking for consultants, looking for salespeople, looking for relationship groups that are meeting, looking for new moms. Well, just get on your search engines and look specifically to your city that you're in, plus the topic that you're looking for. Now, you can be looking for organizations. That's one place that's prevalent. And there are organizations and clubs all over the world that are meeting about the topics that you want to speak about. Conferences, of course, are another one. Organized conferences are a great place to go look for organizers to talk to them about speaking on their stages. And then last would be local topic groups. So if you're looking for something specific, like if you are into cooking or you're into healthy food or you're a fitness coach or you're in the health and nutrition space and you want to look up people cooking great food, cooking groups that get together, or people that discuss nutrition. You can pretty much these days find a group organized and meeting up just about anything, which is what makes it so great to have access to essentially any target market in any city. Now, I'm not necessarily always talking about groups of, 100 or 200 or 500. We may be talking about groups of 10 or 15 or 20. But as you'll start to discover in this program, it's not the size of the group. It's certainly not the quantity. It is definitely the quality. And most importantly, it's how you effectively manage the group and decide the right offers to really make it worth everybody's time when you go speak, whether it's to 2 people or 200 people. I'll tell you, historically, as a speaker or getting started, I was speaking literally 3 to 4 days a week very, very quickly after I decided I wanted to be a speaker. And so, I've been through everything from huge groups to tiny groups. And I'll say just at the beginning, because of course, now it's easy to talk about being on stages in front of thousands, but getting started, I started in rooms of 10 and 20 and 15 and 25. But the fun ones were always where they promised you 50 or 100 or 200 or 500, and you'd show up and there was like 5 or 10 people there. However, once you understand how to navigate any speaking engagement, anywhere you go is not only worth it because you get to practice and you get to keep honing your skills as a speaker, as a seller, as a facilitator, as a storyteller, but also you'll know how to always make it worth your time and effort. And being able to navigate a tiny group of 5 or so up to a large group of hundreds or thousands is a skill set that's very, very, very critical, because that means you can walk into any room anywhere in the world and be powerful and making it worth your time and effort. Now, next time, we're going to talk about using your warm network for referrals to speaking engagements, which is also a very powerful place to go. But for now, I wanted you to understand how to be using the internet, using certain sites and search engines to start to identify places to go and reach out to organizers that, of course, would likely not know who you are first. This is, of course, a bit tougher, but once you start to master this game, you can open up speaking engagements anywhere you want. If you want to be traveling or anytime you're running out of warm leads, you can simply start to look up organizers, reach out, and have effective conversations that turn into speaking opportunities. Now, what I'd like you to aim for is getting the organizers on the phone. That is really going to be your target. Although you're going to use an email usually to reach out to them, you are always going to be looking to get them on the phone to have a real conversation with them. And in later modules, we'll cover what to be saying in a sales conversation. And even in this module, we'll look at how to position yourself so they start to take you seriously. Now, we've provided an email template for you to use that you can adjust or use exactly as it is to send out to the organizers. And, look, it's not a 100% guarantee to get you interest and curiosity and people writing you back, but we've used it over the years and had a very high success rate of people responding back to that email. So go ahead and use that. It's set up for you, and of course, read it and tweak it for what's appropriate for your voice, your content, and how you would interact with somebody professionally. So let's look at step 2. How do you get them to take you seriously when you're talking to them? Now, in this program, you might be an experienced speaker, having talked with many promoters and organizers locally, nationally, or internationally. Or you might be somebody who's just getting started, in which case the question is, how do you make them, or how do you get them to take you seriously? Because you have a great passion, you really want to help people, but maybe you don't have a ton of experience actually speaking on stages or talking to a lot of organizers or promoters. Well, I'm going to give you 4 specific things that I want you to be doing when you approach them. First of all, I want you to be the no bullshit, no hype person. I want you to have them see you as someone who understands the game. And here is the game. The game is simply about 2 things: delivering value in a presentation, something that's interesting, takeaways to a group, and monetizing the room. Those 2 things are critical, and every presentation I ever engage in, whether it's huge promoters, global stages of thousands, or small rooms, I always get asked the same thing. Make sure your presentation has good value for our clients or participants to take away some cool stuff, and make sure you monetize the room, because you're the featured speaker or you're the one we're depending on, and this is a business, and so we're not only looking to provide value, but we're also looking to monetize the room. You need to let them know that you understand that, and those 2 things are of the key most importance to you, highest value, and that's what you focus on in your work as a presenter. The second thing to have them take you seriously is Be focused with your target market, your problem and solution sets. In other words, make sure you know who you speak to. Who is your target market? Do you want to be speaking to women between the ages of 40 and 50? Do you want to be speaking to male executives of large companies? Do you want to be speaking to young millennials who are looking to expand in their fitness or health or nutrition? You have to be very targeted in your market and be really clear about what you speak about in terms of a problem solution set. Now, this target market problem solution set conversation can simply go into what we call our audio logo. And you'll see on the screen, of course, in our handouts as well, our audio logo is simply typically my clients, customers, or participants are X, and X is your target market, who have the challenge or problem of blank, and blank is your problem or challenge that they're typically struggling with. I help them get Y, and Y is, of course, your solution, or whatever you help them get, the results. So an example might be something like, my typical client is a woman who is in a practice, who has a lot of one-on-one clients, but is looking to leverage herself into group environments. And she's just not sure how to get out there, how to find speaking engagements, develop her presentations, and deliver powerfully. I help her understand how to find organizers, develop a presentation, and powerfully deliver a presentation so that she gets action, success, earns more money, and makes more impact. That way, when you say things like that, the organizer can really know whether their clientele is the right target market for you. And remember, one of the most critical things for success in speaking is a message to market match. In other words, if you're brilliant at what you do and brilliant at what you say, but you're in front of the wrong people, it doesn't make any difference how great you are. It's not going to be a match. And vice versa, if you're just kind of mediocre or, you're just getting started, but you are a direct hit, a direct match between what you're talking about and what the clientele needs in the audience, you will do really well because that message to market match is so critical. So the third thing that's important around them taking you seriously is listen to them. In other words, ask them questions about their group. Find out what's important to them. And please, please don't be arrogant and think that you know better than them about coming into their group and speaking to their group. The organizer is very intimately involved with their group, their clientele, and their participants. Sometimes they've had long-standing friends. They've done business with their participants. Some of them have been around for years. Some of them have not been around long, but they really understand their industry. You need to concede to them as being the masters of their groups and really listen to them about what's important, about what they want you to talk about, how they want you to position things, and what's the best thing to do that will add value for their group. I've always interviewed every organizer and listened very carefully to them as I crafted my presentations for those groups because I just assumed if I did exactly what they asked me to do, I'd win because they want me to win, because they want to win along with me. The fourth thing for you to make sure that you're doing so that they take you seriously in these conversations is be ready to discuss what you sell. So you're going to have to talk about your packaging. What do you actually sell? Do you sell private coaching? Do you sell a retreat? Do you sell a group coaching? Do you sell a product? What do you actually sell? What's the price points? They need to know that you understand exactly what you're selling. This needs to be crystal clear. It needs to be nice and simple and make sure that you understand it and can communicate it clearly. And they're going to want to know what's the deal that you normally do around sharing the profit. They'll usually ask you because typically organizers are relatively flexible. Sometimes they dictate the terms, like they say, well, here's how it works. You speak on my stage, you sell something for at least $1,000, and I take 50%. Now, it is typical that you would split 50-50 on a stage with organizers. However, not all stages are like that, and of course, if you get into smaller groups or groups that are not used to having selling speakers, they may not care or take any percentage at all. And in fact, this is awesome for you. When I first started, we used to speak at all sorts of groups that were not used to having selling speakers. I started by selling a $200 or $300 ticket to a 3-day training program with me, and guess what? I got to keep 100% of the revenue because they just wanted me to come in and speak about something cool and really entertain their group. So they didn't even ask for a percentage at that time. Now, today, it's typically 50-50, like I said, and it's almost never going to be a free ride, but you never know. And so the way you want to start by negotiating is ask them how they have worked in the past, but be prepared to share how a deal would work, because many times they rely on you to share what seems fair or how it works because you have a delivery that you have to deliver, and they want to make sure that it's working for everybody. Real win-win kind of thing. Now, you should be definitely selling something north or more expensive of $497 US, or whatever the equivalent is in your currency. If you're selling it under $500, it's usually going to take people to what we consider another preview, in which case you'll probably have to give the organizer a percentage of anything else you sell. To avoid this, because this is a little bit tricky and a little bit, let's say, logistically annoying that you have to track people through another program, you want to probably be selling something between $997 or $1,000 up to about $3,000 or $2,997. And that allows you to just give them a percentage of sales without any other percentages on any other upsells. Now, I'll give you a little good trick of the trade, which is when you're talking to organizers, sometimes it's better and it helps you move into their graces better to inquire about an interest in their group as a member versus a speaker. Now, this is not always the most direct route, so it's just a little suggestion that you can try on if, for example, you are targeting a group that has a pretty good following and maybe has a lot of speakers that want to speak there. You might want to approach them with more of an inquiry into, how do I become a member of your group? Tell me what your group is about, and really get to learn about them, and then ask in the conversation, and if I should aspire to be a speaker at your group sometime, what would that look like? How would I go about that? And then they'll give you sort of the process. But many times, if you're trying to get the attention of an organizer, they let's just put it direct, they would potentially be more interested in talking to you if you wanted to become a member and contribute to their community through payment and be a customer, than necessarily if you just wanted to ping them for, hey, how do I become a speaker and come in and speak at your group, like many others are doing. But you'll have to feel it out, and each group is a little differently, but I just want to give you a different perspective on a good trick of the trade to get attention from organizers sometimes if the speaker route, if saying, hey, I'd love to come speak at your group, is not getting their attention. So the last thing I want to share with you in this video is the 3 things that I noticed that keep speakers sort of politely off the radar. In other words, someone who wants to be a speaker at a group might approach an organizer, and the organizer really either kind of brushes them off or never really calls them back, or it doesn't really go anywhere, and they're not really sure why. And so these 3 things that I'm about to share with you are typically the reason why, the unsaid stuff that organizers say to me when we're chatting about speakers that they've turned down, but they don't always tell it directly to the speaker, and I'm sure I've had this myself in the early days as well. So here they go. Here are the 3. The first one is they often turn down speakers or just sort of politely say, maybe another time, when the speaker is not really unique enough. Either their topic is not that interesting or their presentation is not that interesting. So if you're getting a little bit of the brush off, or if it's kind of seems to be dragging on to be able to get yourself on a stage with a certain organizer, you may want to ask them directly, do you feel like my presentation is unique enough? Do you think my topic has an interesting enough angle? And if not, help me or give me some feedback on what could change to be most effective with your group. Or you might just have to do that work on your own. The second thing that often keeps speakers politely off the radar is the organizer doesn't think that the speaker will be in rapport with their audience. And that could be because the speaker is either coming across in networking or talking to them as really too boring or too intellectual, or maybe they're too profit-driven and the group is a very spiritual group or a very heart-centered group. Or maybe they met them and the speaker just doesn't really dress the part professionally, doesn't look professional or put together, and they just don't think they would really be in rapport or resonate with their audience. So it's important to understand right from the start, who is the organizer organizing? What is the market, the demographic and the psychographic of their clientele? And do you really think that you resonate with them? The third thing that keeps speakers politely off the radar is that the organizer simply just doesn't think that they can actually sell, in other words, or really make any action happen in the room towards having people opt in for something, or selling a ticket to something, or monetizing the room. And any 3 of those are just something that you want to be really careful about for yourself. Be direct, be honest with yourself, ask for honest feedback, and just make sure that you transcend those 3 problems so that you're the one who's getting picked. Okay, so here's your assignment out of this video to simply start getting in conversations about speaking engagements. The first thing I want you to do is to block out time in your calendar to work on networking and talking to organizers every single day. 2 hours should be plenty, but the more you can do, the better. Either way, block out specific time in your calendar each week right now that you're going to be working on this. And I'm talking about not just for this week, start to put it in as a reoccurring calendar thing so that you have it for every week. Then, the first thing I want you to do is to start doing some research on organizers. Whether it's on Meetup, whether it's on Google, or any other search engine, or any other organization or group or social media that you're searching through, go ahead and do some research on organizers, locate the organizer, and then send them the template email or some email to get the first conversation going. If you can, call them to start the conversation. And if you don't have their telephone number off the bat to get started, in the email, which you'll see, we ask them for a contact number, and you should be calling them. Now, when you call them, I want you to start having conversations. And when you're having these conversations, of course, that should go without saying, when you call them, have conversations, I want you to write down anything that you are asked that you didn't know how to respond to, that sort of stopped the conversation or lost the momentum or made you feel not credible or whatever. And I want you to write down a good answer to that when you get off the phone so that you can call up the next one, do it again, and move through any sticky spots. The third thing that is your homework this week is, as a target, I want you to have 5 conversations with group organizers. That's all I'm asking you to do right now, is just have conversations, and 5 conversations with group organizers this week. Have fun, and we'll talk to you soon.